Hello YouTube, Mac here with Blades, Guns, and Fun with another knife review for you. I know I promised you this one during the unboxing video, but I thought I could get it after about a week, but I wanted to really get some use on this knife, and I've been busy with a few other things, so I'm just getting to it now, so I apologize for the delay. This is my Spyderco Sage 2. Titanium scales, Reeve integral titanium frame lock. I can't say enough about this knife. I was a little bit leery. This is my first Spyderco I've ever owned, and you know, at first I think Spyderco's take some getting used to. The blade shape of them is so different from other knives. There's a lot of things about Spyderco knives that are different, but I don't have a single bad thing to say about this knife. It is absolutely awesome. I've carried it every day with me since the day I unboxed it. Other than a few days that I traveled, I took a cheaper knife to put in my luggage on the airline because I was afraid to lose this thing because I like it that much. It really just is phenomenal. It opens fast with very little adjustment to the pivot screw, although you can adjust that. And it's awesome. It is just a perfect, in my opinion, a perfect EDC knife. Overall length 7.125 inches, 3-inch blade length. Although the cutting edge is just a little over 2.6 inches because of this finger choil. Excuse me, S30V blade steel. It is just a little over 4 inches closed. Comes in at 3.5 ounces, which is awesome. In my line of work, with the type of clothing I wear to work on a regular basis, a lightweight knife is key. This is very comfortable. You do not know it's there. Has a 1/2-inch Spyderco opening hole there. Blade thickness 0.125 inches. And as I said, titanium handle scales. If you look real closely, you can see mine are a little bit smudged up because I've used it a lot. And I think that would wipe right off. I haven't really cleaned it much. I've wiped the blade down, you know, after I use it and stuff, but really haven't babied it. I was afraid that I would baby it because of the price, but I wanted to see how this thing really would do. So I have I've beat on it, so to speak. I've used it from everything from cutting tape open to open boxes to cutting boxes themselves. I've used it for a fair amount of food prep, cutting fruit and vegetables. I have used it while at work, actually just as a knife to cut food, as opposed to the crappy plastic knives that they give us. And it's held up wonderfully. It is still extremely sharp. I doubt if it's as sharp as the day I got it, but honestly I don't notice a difference. So realistically it probably isn't, but it might as well be because it's still very sharp. Nice thick blade, pretty nice tip. It's not the most blunt tip that I've seen on a knife, but it is still pretty substantial. The shape of the blade I think helps that because it's a pretty wide tip. But I know some of you are going to scoff at me, and I normally don't, but I have used this to pry certain things open too. And it has not phased it. The tip is still straight and in good shape. No major scratches or anything. Just overall a totally awesome knife. One thing that I found while researching this knife, probably the biggest complaint, the most frequent complaint that I saw was about this guy right here. This wireframe clip. At first, when I saw it, I thought it would be extremely weak and was a little leery of it. I can't recall seeing on Spyderco's website or otherwise what this is actually made out of, whether it is stainless steel or what. But I gotta tell you, this is one of the strongest folding knife clips that I think I've used. Believe it or not, it really doesn't look like it. It looks like a paper clip, and some guys love it, some guys hate it. One of the things that I've heard good about it is that because of it being a wire frame like that, it's very discreet. A lot of people have said that, you know, when it's in their pocket, it gets mistaken for a pen clip, etc., etc. I don't know how many people have noticed it in my pocket, but I know I've had nobody say anything about it. It is pretty discreet. I usually wear black pants, so it does stand out a little bit, but being wire like that, I don't think people really look at it and think, oh, that's a knife, because it's just very unique. Very easy to change. You cannot change it to tip down carry. It's tip up only, but it is reversible for right and left hand carry. You just run that torque screw out, and that holds these little ends in, and you just would set them down in there and put that torque screw in. But I do want to say, you might be able to see here a little bit, yeah, on that one, there is a little bit of scratches and whatnot on there. And I guess if I had one complaint about this knife, which really I don't, but if I had to pick one thing I didn't like about it, when I got the knife out of the box, that piece that fits down in that groove was actually bent up like this and was sticking out a little bit. And I carried it that way for 4 or 5 days. It never caught on my pants pocket or anything like I thought maybe it would. It never gave me a problem at all. So I could have just left it that way. You can still kind of tell if you look real close. It's not perfect in there. But I didn't like that it wasn't. It was pretty obviously messed up. So I took the torque screw out, I got my pliers and etc. and tried bending it back so that it would fit in there right. And I gotta tell you, I'm not the strongest guy in the world, but I'm a pretty big guy, and it took almost everything I had to get that thing bent, and in about 10 minutes. It wasn't like I could just bend it. Like I said, it looks like a paper clip, but that ain't no paper clip. You really got to put some force behind that sucker to bend it. And it, like I said, it took everything I had to really get a good grip on that with the pliers and get it bent back so it sat down in that groove. And as a result, there are some scratches on it in there, but I figure, you know, that's pretty minor. It's inside, and you're not going to notice it too much. But the point being, this clip I think is a lot stronger than a lot of people who are complaining about it give it credit for. The design is very nice because it slides down in your pocket very easily, and being the titanium handles as opposed to G10 or something, it slides in very easily. But it does have good retention. It's strong. It holds in there pretty good. It does not. It's not going to fall out on its own. That's for sure. You gotta. If you grab it down too low and squeeze too tight, it's not coming out. It'll grab on there and it won't come out. So you either got to grab up high or you got to get down here and kind of get your finger under it a little bit. But it works great. I love it. It's actually one of my favorite features of the knife. But anyway, back to the knife. Real nice finger choil, nice thumb ramp. Generally, I would say this is probably how I have held it the most for cutting. But for little things, precision cutting, this finger choil is awesome. I mean, that gives you barely, 2.5 inches or so cutting edge in front of your fingers, and man, you could. This thing is like almost like a scalpel. I mean, you could really get in there and cut some detail into stuff. Just an awesome knife. So, for those of you that don't know much about the Sage series, almost any video on here about a Spyderco Sage knife will probably tell you the same thing. I'm not going to go into it in detail, but in case this happens to be the first video on a Sage knife you've seen, and you're just looking, to learn a little bit more, it's a series of knives that Spyderco started doing a number of years ago, I believe. And it's something about referencing, it says that it manifests Spyderco's 3 decades of pioneering knife crafting and innovating. So Basically, it's the same design knife. Each Sage knife looks basically the same in design, but then they put various features on each series to commemorate and honor various knife makers who have done a lot for the world of knife making, so to speak. So the Sage 2 series honors Chris Reeve and his titanium integral frame lock. And yeah, I mean, I did some research before this. I ended up getting this knife because I was looking for a titanium frame lock knife. And you're hard pressed to find one that you could excuse me, that you could touch for the price that you can get this for. So if you want to try a titanium frame lock knife and you don't feel like shelling out $400 or more, I would highly recommend this. I picked it up for somewhere around $150, I believe, on eBay. But you can find it around that price, various websites. But it's great. It definitely goes down as one of my favorite folding knives. Like I said, probably my favorite EDC knife because it lacks some of the features of some of the other ones I have that make them cool to me. There's no wave opener or whatever. I did for a couple of days. I put a zip tie on and tried that, but I didn't like it. I mean, this is too nice of a knife to have a zip tie on it, and this is way too nice of a knife to start cutting the blade to make a wave opener. But that's part of the reason I like this knife, because when I'm at work, I don't want a knife that's going to whip out of my pocket and open up lightning fast, because I don't want to intimidate people or make people feel uncomfortable. Now, if I'm just going out and about, or if I'm just carrying a knife around the house, or I'm doing work out in the yard or something, maybe I would want one of my knives that have a wave on it, because it's cool. I mean, if you haven't seen much about it, look it up, because Emerson wave type knives are incredible. They're a lot of fun. But this is perfect for my purposes. For anybody who works in an office setting or something where you're going to pull a knife out to cut open a box or what have you, and there may be somebody else standing around who has never seen someone carry a pocket knife or has never carried a pocket knife, this is probably fine, because it's not going to scare them. It's a little big. I had a coworker mention to me that, oh man, I can't believe the size of that knife. Well, obviously that's somebody that doesn't know knives that well, because this is one of the smaller ones I own, but all in all, it's perfect. I mean, if you need to deploy this fast, you put your thumb in there and flick it open, and it's open. You can give it a little whip. I mean, you can flick it out there very fast if need be. But on an EDC knife, for the most part, you can open it normally, and you're not going to scare people. But it's a great knife. Very high quality materials. Yeah, it's made in Taiwan. And I guess maybe that would be my biggest complaint about it. But I can't really even call that a complaint, because I'm not the type of person that's going to say, judge a knife based on where it's made. Yeah, I probably would assume that a knife made in Taiwan is not as nice as a knife made in the United States. But this knife defies that stereotype for sure. The blade is beautifully centered, if I can get the knife centered. Yeah, there you go. The way I'm holding it kind of makes it look like it's off a little bit, but not much movement there. I mean, so it's not like you open it, you close it, and that's where it is. So it's pretty centered. Blade play, I wouldn't say minimal. I would say 0. That frame lock is pretty tough. So, take it for what it's worth, I guess. A lot of people wouldn't want to spend this kind of money on a knife, but I have no regrets. I'm glad I did it. I think it's a wonderful knife. I've used it a lot, and I plan on using it a lot. So, that's really, I guess, all I have to say. Another thing about a lot of Spyderco knives that they look a little strange, But the full flat grind, I gotta say, is pretty nice. The cutting on this thing is just so smooth. It cuts wonderfully. I have an index card here, I guess. I don't really buy into these cutting tests a whole lot because whoop-de-doo, it can cut through an index card, but I mean, it obviously, this knife makes it look as easy as it should look, so no problems there. And like I said, I've used it, I've carried it with me every day for 3 weeks, other than a few days while traveling, so and I've used it for everything that I would ever use a knife for, and it has worked amazingly. So I would give this 3 thumbs up if I could, but we'll say 2 thumbs up. Highly recommend. If you're on the fence, you know, if you've got the funds, suck it up and do it. I really don't think you'll regret it. This is a really, really wonderful knife. If you get one, leave me a comment. Let me know how you like it. I hope you like it as much as I do. As always, if you have any questions about this knife or any other knives I've shown, or any questions in general, I can't guarantee I can answer, but I'll do my best. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section, and I will do my best to answer anything I can for you. So there it is. Spyderco Sage 2 titanium handle, Chris Reeve integral frame lock, and one of my new favorite EDC knives. So there it is. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.